Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Read. مسألة تكبير التحريم. وعنه قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وعنه قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم: مفتاح الصلاة الطهور وتحريمها التكبير وتحليلها التسليم. رواه أبو داود والترمذي والدارمي ورواه ابن ماجه عنه أو عن أبي هريرة رضي الله تعالى.
Right. So there's an from Hazrat Ali radiallahu anhu, right? See, Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam says that the key to salah is cleanliness, and its tahrim is takbir, and its tahleel is taslim, right? And there's Nabi Abu Dawud, Tirmizi, Darimi, and Ibn Majah also, right? Now, all those things, right? All those things which are the muharramat of salah, right, is connected with the takbir. When a person says the takbir, then all those things that was permissible for him to do out of salah now becomes haram for him to do in salah. You understood that? Right. Now, how do you start your salah? Right? They got your takbir. So Imam Malik and Imam Ahmad rahmahullah says, Allahu Akbar only can be said. And Imam Shafi rahmahullah says, Allahu Akbar and Allahul Akbar can be said. And Imam Yusuf rahmatullah says, Allahu Akbar, Allahul Akbar, Allahu Kabir, Allahul Kabir. We did this in Hidayah. And Imam Abu Hanifa and Imam Muhammad rahmahullah says, everything which, all those words which indicate to the greatness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you can use that. So you can even use Allahu A'lam also. All right. Let's see now. Then we got what tahliluha at-taslim, right? To come out of salah, you need to make salam, right? And the Jamhur says, right? Thalas. They say that you need to make salam to come out. If you don't make salam, you don't come out of salah, right? And the dalil is this particular hadith here. Imam Abu Hanifa rahmatullah alayhi, he says to make salam to come out of salah is wajib. And to come out of salah intentionally by some action is faraj. So if a person intentionally came out of his salah after he did qaida akhira, which is also faraj, intentionally comes out of his salah, then his salah is complete. Yes, it's deficient because he didn't fulfill the wajib of salam. Right, read. Imam Ali ibn Talaq radiallahu anhu said, Nabi Karim says, when none of you break wind, then you should make wudhu and you should not come to the women in their back passages. Right. So what's fasa? Fasa is actually that wind without sound. That wind without sound. Right. And why does this wind break the wudhu? Is because it is possible that some of the najis, comes out of a najis passage. And so some of the atoms or tiny particles comes out with that. And therefore it breaks the wudhu. Yes, though that wind which comes through the front private parts, male or female, doesn't break the wudhu, right? Unless a woman is mufdat. In other words, her front private, front passage and her back passage, there is no separation. You understand? There is no separation between those two. Then it will break the wudhu.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. وعن معاوية بن أبي سفيان رضي الله تعالى عنه أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال إنما العينان وكاء السهل فإذا نامت العين استطلق الوكاء رواه الدارمي.
That is from Muawiyah bin Abi Sufyan that Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam says, indeed the eyes is the prop of the buttocks. So when the eyes sleep, then the prop opens, right? I'll give you another translation for Vika now, right? So what is Vika actually? Vika is that like a shoelace which is used to tie the bag. You know, you have that shoe like a lace type of thing on top of the bag, and you tie it up with that. So that is Vika. So even though sleep in itself is not a naqid wuzu, doesn't break your wuzu. Just it's not the actual break of wuzu, but because when you sleep, you are totally relaxed and your limbs are at ease. Then what happens is the possibility of, and the great possibility, the deeper the sleep, the great possibility of wind coming out. Therefore, sleep becomes a break of wuzu. So there's ikhtilaf. Imam Malik and Imam Ahmad rahmatullah, they say a little bit sleep doesn't break the wuzu, a lot of sleep break the wuzu. Imam Shafi rahmatullah says that if you're sleeping, sitting, and your buttocks is firm on the earth, then that will not break the wuzu, otherwise it will break the wuzu. And Ahnaf says, if you are in any of the postures of salah, your wuzu will not break. And if you're leaning onto something to such an extent that if that thing was removed, you would fall down, then your wuzu would break. Right? But if you are leaning against something and you were not leaning so hard, which means you were in deep sleep. So if that thing had to be removed, you wouldn't have fallen down, you'd have woken up. That means you were not in a deep sleep. Right. And right, then we have here, I didn't go into the details of all this. Right, read.
قال شيخ الإمام السنة رحمه الله على كتاب القول
Right. Carry on. Lima saha. Okay. Now from Ali radiallahu anhu, he said, Nabi Karim says, hi. Hello. Hello. Can you phone me back after about 1 hour? Okay. Right. Now from Ali radiallahu anhu, he said that the prop of the buttocks is the eye. So whoever sleeps, then he should make wuzu. Imam Dawud narrated the hadith. And Sheikh Imam Muhi Sunnah, rahimullah, said this is in other than the one who's sitting. Lima sahha Anasin, because of what is correct from Anas radiallahu anhu. So then he gives the hadith here. That see, we don't have that hadith here, right? That the companions of Nabi Akram used to await Isha until their heads used to drop, and then they used to recite recite salah, and then they used to make wuzu. Right? You got there Rawahu Abu Dawud wa Tirmidhi, no? Read.
إلا أنه ذكر فيه ينامون قبل ينتظرون العشاء حتى تخفق رؤوسهم.
Imam Abu Dawud and Tirmidhi narrated this, except that he mentions in it yanamun, that they were sleeping in exchange of yantazirun. They are waiting the Isha, right? Until their heads would drop down. Right, read. So Imam Muhammad Sunnah is saying that this is besides a person sitting. If a person is sitting and sleeping, then his wuzu doesn't break. And then he gives us hadith, says that dalil that they used to wait for the Isha, and they used to also snooze in between.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وعن ابن عباس رضي الله تعالى عنهما قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إن الوضوء على من نام مضطجعا فإنه إذا اضطجع استرخت مفاصله رواه الترمذي وأبو.
Right. Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu said, Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam says, indeed, wuzu is upon the one who sleeps lying down. Because when he sleeps lying down, then his joints are all lax and he becomes at ease, and then the possibility of wind coming out. Right. Read.
قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا مس أحدكم ذكره فليتوضأ ومالك وأحمد وأبو داود والترمذي والنسائي
It was Busra radiallahu anha, she says that Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam says, when one of you touches his zakar, then he should make wuzu. Right? And designated for all these hadith scholars here, right? Right. I myself of the opinion then when you touch your zakar, then your wuzu breaks. However, Imam Shafi rahmatullah alayhi, he says you need to for your wuzu to break, you need to touch your zakar without any obstacle, direct touching, and with the inside of the hand. Right? And Imam Malik rahmatullah says this you need to touch your zakar with desire, then only it will break. And Imam Ahmad rahmatullah, he says mutlaqan, you touch your zakar, your wuzu breaks. Right? And they also say Jabur, just as they say the same will apply to a woman who touches her farj, her wuzu will also break with these three different kayfiyat of how they touch the zakar. Imam Boniba rahmatullah says, without the najasat coming out, that merely just touching the zakar will not break the wuzu, right? And Imam Boniba rahmatullah's dalil is from this hadith of Talq ibn Ali radiallahu anhu, who says, Hal huwa illa bul'atum minhu. It is not except a portion from you, a portion, a lump of yours. It's just like all the other lumps. This is also just one lump. Nevertheless, then the discussion goes on the authenticity of both hadiths and which hadith is strong. So they come to the conclusion that both hadiths are sahih. All right. So the ruling is when both hadiths are sahih, then you now resort to qiyas. And both hadiths are sahih, but they're opposing one another. Then you resort to qiyas. And qiyas will tell you that as long as najasat is coming out, you understand? There's no najasat coming out of sabilain, your wuzu doesn't break. That is qiyas. Right? That's what breaks your wuzu, the najasat coming out of sabilain. And here there is no najasat coming out of sabilain. You understand? So therefore the wuzu shouldn't break. The other reason or answer the Ahnaf give, that the hadith of Busra radiallahu anha, it carries the possibility that the touch the zakar here could refer to urinating, as it is used amongst the Arabs. To touch the zakar means you urinate. The third reasoning is that this hadith here, Al huwa illa bud'atum minhu, that the illat is clearly given here to show it doesn't break. There's no other possibility here. It doesn't break because it's just a normal, it's just a lump. All right. And then the fourth reason they give here is that in Busra radiallahu anhu's narration, it refers to mustahab wuzu. After you touch your zakar, it's mustahab to make wuzu. And Taliq ibn Ali's riwayat, it refers to the ruling that you don't have to make wuzu. And Busra radiallahu anhu's hadith says that means you must make wuzu, it's mustahab to make wuzu. And Taliq ibn Ali's radiallahu anhu's riwayat is saying you don't have to make wuzu. You know, if you want to make wuzu, you can make wuzu, it's mustahab. Right, as Ali radiallahu anhu says, Ma ubali masastuhu aw tarfa anfi. I don't care if I touch it or the tip of my nose. All right. And Hazrat Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu, he says, in kuntu tastanjisuhu fa'aqta'uhu. If I regarded this zakar as najis, then I would have cut it off. But it's not najis. So therefore your wuzu doesn't break. Right. So
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وعن طلق بن علي رضي الله تعالى عنه قال سئل رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم مس الرجل ذكره بعدما يتوضأ قال وهل هو إلا بضعة حديد. رواه أبو داود والترمذي والنسائي. وروى ابن ماجه نحوه. وقال شيخ الإسلام محيي السنة رحمه الله هذا منسوخ لأن أبا هريرة رضي الله تعالى عنه أسلم بعد قدوم خلفه رضي الله تعالى عنه. وقد روى أبو هريرة رضي الله تعالى عنه أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال إذا أفضى أحدكم بيده إلى ذكره ليس بينه وبينها شيء فليتوضأ. رواه الشافعي والدارقطني. ورواه النسائي عن بسرة رضي الله تعالى عنها إلا أنه لم يذكر ليس بينه وبينها شيء.
Right. Remember Talq ibn Ali said that Nabi Akram was asked about a man touching his zakar after he had made wuzu. So he said it is not except a piece of flesh of his. And Narib Abu Dawud, Tirmizi, Nasai, and Ibn Majah is similar. Sheikh Imam Muhi Sunnah, who's the author of the Matan of the Kitab, right? He said this has been abrogated because Abu Hurairah accepted Islam after the arrival of Talq ibn Ali. So which means what Abu Hurairah is saying is the last. So he's saying that and Imam Abu Hurairah narrate from Nabi Karim Sallallahu is that when one of you reaches with his hand to his zakar, there is not between it and between him and between it anything, then he should make wuzu. So he's showing Sheikh Imam Muhi Sunnah that the Talq ibn Ali's riwayat is mansukh, and this is the opinion, you understand? And it's narrated by Shafi, Daraqutni, Nasai from Busra, except that he did not mention there is not between him and between it anything. Okay, leave it till there. So Busra radiallahu anha, Busra radiallahu